This little batch was supposed to be a quick test project for xTool Studio 1.7. I used it to try the new manual tabs, curve text placement, custom line density, and the new XS file format. Some of it worked exactly the way I hoped. Some of it was useful, but still a little awkward. And one part sent me into a mini workaround involving extra circles, the offset tool, and a bit of guessing. The top text was easy. The bottom text is where Studio and I stopped being friends there for a few minutes. So this is not going to be a full tour of every single update in Studio 1.7. I'm not going to be reading the release notes line by line. Instead, I want to focus on the features that I can actually see myself using and a few smaller changes that I think a lot of laser users will appreciate. And one quick note before we get into it. Some of these changes are genuinely useful. I think they are. Some are small quality of life improvements. And one of them, the new file format, is probably the one that I'm most concerned about, especially for people who are not very technical. But first, let's start with a feature that made this batch more interesting than I expected. So that attached text to path can now be placed inside, on, or outside the path. That sounds very simple, but it's actually pretty useful for signs, ornaments, badges, logos, labels, and all those circular designs we tend to make with lasers. For this batch, I added Severna builds to the top part of the circle. Being able to move the text to the inside or the center or outside of the line gives you more control over where the text sits. And for the top part, this works very well. You can grab it from that blue dot and you can move it around and spin it around and just find that right place where you want to sit your text. Here you can see the difference, right? This is very useful. But I want to be honest about something. When I tried to put the establish on 2025, right, EST 2025 at the bottom there on the bottom part of the circle and still have it readable the way that I wanted, that part didn't feel as simple as I expected. The top text, like I said, was easy. The bottom text is where things got a little weird. I just couldn't do it. Every time I placed it, I'm able to move it around, spin it around the circle, right? But you just couldn't read it. There was no easy button there to flip that text. So I went to xTool support site and I even asked their AI, but it suggested a couple of things that either didn't work for what I was looking for or didn't seem to exist the way that I described it. I tried a few different questions, but eventually just confirmed that what I wanted was not really possible using the method it suggested. It mentioned using the warp text or the warping tool, but that was not the solution I needed there. So what did I do? I used a classic Severna builds solution. I just started trying different things here and there and then basically ignored the advice from support and made a couple of extra circles, used the offset tool there and eyeball it until it lined up correctly. So I created this couple of circles and then that offset tool became very handy. And then I just adjusted the text until it landed where I wanted it. Don't ask me how it works or why does it work when you use the offset. It just works. Now the question is it perfect? No. But did it work? It actually did. And this is where I think the feature is actually useful, but it's not quite as smooth as I would like it to be. I'm not even sure if that's supposed to work like that. In all honesty, maybe you guys figured the proper way of doing this. And if you have, let me know in the comments, but this is the way I came up with. And again, it was just a lot of trial and error. But for me, the missing piece is very simple. If I want text on the bottom of a circle, I should be able to flip the text direction when I need to. Not through a workaround, Not by guessing with extra circles and just trying to figure this out using the offset. I don't even know, again, how that worked. Just give me a clear option that says something like flip text or reverse text or read from the inside. I don't know. Before we go further here, we need to talk about the new file format. Starting with xTool Studio 1.7, new projects are saved in the new XS format by default. According to xTool, this new format is meant to improve stability when you're saving, when you're syncing things. That all sounds very useful, very helpful. But here's the part that people need to understand. Older XES files can still be opened and edited in Studio 1.7 and newer. So going forward, sounds like you'll be able to open your old XES files. But XS files cannot be opened in older versions of Studio. So imagine this. You design a project on your main computer inside the house, right? Save it in the new XS format. Then you walk out to the garage or your shop where you actually run the laser, right? And the computer is still using the older version of Studio. Now the file does not open. That is not the end of the world, but it's exactly the kind of thing that can turn a simple project into a troubleshooting session that you don't want. The workaround is to export the project as an XES file if you need compatibility with older versions. So this is not one of those exciting visual features. Nobody's going to throw a party here because we have a new file extension, right? But this is important. So my take is this. The new file format may be good for the long term, but xTool needs to make the compatibility side very clear because not everyone using Studio is a software person. Now, let's move from design frustrations to something very practical. Manual tab editing. This is probably the most practical laser cutting feature in this whole update. Tabs are those small uncut sections that keep a piece attached to the surrounding material while the job's still running. And this is one of those features that doesn't sound exciting until you have a small piece move, tip, or fall through the honeycomb, or shift before the job is finished. Here, I can add tabs to the outside cut line. I can move them around now, and I can delete the ones I don't want. That is the key part for me. The ability to choose where the tabs should go. Because where you place them actually makes a difference. For a simple round batch like this, tab placement is not as dramatic as it would be on a delicate ornament or a detailed layer sign. But even on a circle, cleanup still counts. If that tab lands in a bad spot, you might spend more time sanding that little knob smooth. And if you ever try to sand a tiny tab mark until it disappears completely, you know it can be more annoying than it looks. And this is why tabs make more sense when you see the physical result. This little section keeps the piece connected while the laser finishes the job. Then, after cutting, you pop the piece loose, clean up the small knob, and your part is free. So yes, this is a software feature, but the real value shows up when the cut finishes. For me, this is one of the best practical improvements in Studio 1.7. Next is custom line density. And I'm glad this one was added because lines per centimeter is one of those settings that a lot of people still find confusing. I have asked about this in my Curious Sunday polls before, and quite a few people said they still struggle with understanding what line density actually does. Studio 1.7 now gives you more direct control over line density for vector fills and bitmap engraving. Instead of only choosing from preset options, you can now adjust the spacing more directly. And that has an impact on the engraving quality, the engraving time, and how dense the final engraving results looks. If the lines are closer together, the engraving can look more filled in, but the job may take longer. If the lines are a little farther apart, the job may run faster, but the results can look lighter or less dense. So this is not a magic setting. You still need to test, but I like having more control here. Especially when working with photos or vector fills, painted canvases, right, or slate, or anything where the default setting is close, but not quite where you want it. For a project like this batch, I have an engraved logo in the center. Line density gives me another way to fine-tune how that engraving looks. And for people who test materials regularly, like I do, this is very useful because laser work is usually not about finding one perfect setting and using it forever. It's about adjusting power, speed, lines per centimeter, or line density, right? And sometimes you just have to accept the laser has other ideas, other plans for the evening. Now that we have tested the main features on the batch, let's look at a few smaller Studio 1.7 changes that make the software easier to use on a daily basis. The first one is custom materials test titles. This is small but very useful. Instead of having a generic title, you can label the test with something more specific. Something like, 3mm basswood, S1 40 watt, or air assist on. That makes the test a lot easier to understand later, especially if you save screenshots, take photos, or build your own material reference library. Again, not very flashy, but very practical. Another one that I like is the ability to resize the editor toolbar and the left panel. All you gotta do is just drag it out and adjust the size. This is more of a comfort improvement, but I think some people will really appreciate it, especially if you're using a smaller screen or a laptop, or if your eyesight is not what it used to be. And listen, I'm not saying any of us here are getting older. I'm just saying some menus seem to be getting smaller and smaller every year. Totally a different problem, right? Studio 1.7 also lets you set the default mouse wheel behavior to either pan or zoom the canvas. Again, this is another one of those comfort improvements. Some people expect the mouse wheel to zoom, other people expect it to scroll or pan. And now you can set it to the way your brain expects it to work. That sounds minor, right? But when you spend a lot of time editing designs, little things like this make the software feel less annoying. The next one is bitmap mode descriptions. This is very helpful if you're just getting started because image modes like Jarvis, Bayer, Grayscale can feel confusing when you're first learning photo engraving. A lot of people end up picking one, running a test, not liking the result, picking another one, running another test, and hoping that your laser is in a good mood. Having descriptions inside Studio does not replace testing, but it does give people a little more context without forcing them to leave the software and search the support site. So I like this one. Not because it solves everything, but because it makes Studio a little more helpful when you are already working. The last smaller improvement I want to mention is saving canvas elements to my space, xTool's My Space. This one is actually pretty useful if you have design elements that you use all the time. For example, maybe you have a logo, a social media icon, or some common text there that you add to different projects. Now you can just right-click that element, save it to My Space, give it a name, hopefully a name that you will remember, and bring it back later without rebuilding it from scratch. That is very convenient. But there's one thing you got to keep in mind. You need to be logged into your xTool account to save and access those assets. And that account connection is a big part of the xTool Studio experience now. I talked about this in one of my previous Studio videos. It can make things easier, but it also means you need a reliable internet connection all the time. And for example, my garage currently doesn't have the greatest internet connection. So that is something I always have to think about. For some people, cloud assets will be very useful. For others, local folders may still feel safer and more predictable. So that is my practical look at xTool Studio 1.7. For me, this update is not about one massive new feature. It is more about Studio becoming a little easier to work with. Manual tabs are useful for real cutting projects. Custom line density gives us more control over engraving. The new XS format may be good long-term, but I do think xTool needs to make compatibility very clear. And that text-to-path update is useful, even if I think that bottom text still needs a simple flip option. My only concern is that xTool Studio seems to be getting updates pretty often, and that can be a mixed thing. On one hand, it is good to see the software improving. On the other hand, frequent updates can confuse people, especially when file formats, menus, or workflows change. So let me ask you, what xTool Studio feature has actually changed the way you work? And what feature do you still want xTool to add? Let me know in the comments because I'm still curious what still slows people down the most. That is it for this one. As always, this is Alex with Saverna Builds. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.